Hello, welcome day 59, Lockdown Diaries. We're back in the Zoom world, in the world of Zoom. And today we're speaking to Aaron Mitchell. Aaron, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. You?
Not bad. Introduce yourself as a motorcyclist. Why are you presenting yourself
Um, I guess. I guess it has something to do with the motorbike trip that I did a few years ago. Yeah, if anyone's doesn't know, in 2016 I took a Suzuki DRZ400 and I rode across 4 continents. So I went across Europe, sort of Northern Asia, across Russia, into North America, and then down into South America, and then flew it back home to Europe and finished the trip there. And it took me just under a year and a half.
now? How many miles was that?
I think it was about 37 or 38,000 miles. Yeah, 505 days it took. I think it was 30 countries.
Very nice. And the DRZ, where is it now, the DRZ?
Right, yeah, it's so it is all still in one location, but it's not all attached together. It's at my parents' place. So I've got half of it is in under a cover in the garden, and then the other half is all in boxes in the shed, and it's just it's looking very sad.
And what's the plan? I'm assuming you're going to put it back together at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I did think about replacing stuff and spraying up the frame and things like that. Then I thought, well, it's just going to look completely different to how it was on the trip. And I was like, do I want to keep it in that look? But there's definitely some bits have got to have work done on it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know if it'll go on another trip. I'd like to think it might, but yeah, I've got a lot of work to do if that is the case.
Okay, so that's a big old trip, a lot of mileage. Why did you choose what would be considered a dirt-orientated motorcycle? Is it because you expected to do a lot of dirt along the way, or what was it?
No, it was budget friendly, and it cost me £1,600 to buy. Wow. So I was really happy about that. It was lightweight. It was simple because I wasn't a vehicle mechanic. Excuse me. So I thought, I could work on this. And also, I was heavily influenced by Mondo Enduro. So obviously, Austin going on the DR350. I went for this. I just loved that whole image. And I was like, that's what I want. I want to be going through Siberia and I want to look like that.
Is that what inspired you to come up with the idea for the trip then, watching sort of Mondo Enduro?
Yeah, I think so. When I started looking into it, can it be done and all this and that? I started seeing people's trips and names and stuff, and then I started looking into stuff, and that was definitely one trip that I really liked. Because I went, was it about 11 years ago? I did a trip around the world, but I went backpacking with a friend of mine. So I knew that I didn't want to go backpacking again, and I knew that I wanted to mix it up a little. So yeah, I decided on the motorbike. Well, actually, it was my family that decided on the motorbike.
That's interesting because normally families try to sway you out of doing something like
that. Yeah, I don't know. They've been pretty good. My dad's ex-military, and I definitely, obviously, I joined the military because of him. So I've always had that. I don't know. They've always been in my corner. They've always supported me. Everything's always worked out well. So when I've come up with an idea or when I go do this or I'm changing my job, they've always been fully supportive. They're like, yeah, you're cool. You'll sort it out. You know what you're doing. So yeah, I think it's just easier to support rather than.
How important was it that you had their support? Because I know a lot of people are deterred or talked out of it by whether it's parents or wives or husbands or whatever, but a lot of people don't have that support base. Do you think if you hadn't have had that support, you would still have done it?
Yeah, I think I'd have still done it because I think that's just naturally, the personality that I am. I joined the army when I was 18, and I think the army was my ticket for, the adventurous sort of lifestyle and, getting sent here and traveling there. So when this came about, I was very much, I kind of needed it. And I think it definitely makes it easier if you've got, all your family and your friends are supporting you. Because I don't know, like if you didn't, I think it would be difficult. I think I'd still do it, but it was definitely nice having them in my corner for sure.
That was an interesting choice of words you just used there. Needed to do it. What?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe there's something going on up here that I can't quite explain. But yeah, I definitely need. I don't know. Like I was talking to someone the other day. I have like this 3 to 4 year rotation where I'll go and do something big. And in the army, it was always like a military deployment. You know, going out to Iraq or Afghanistan or something like that. And it's like when I don't have that, I have like this. That's when the motorbike trip came around. You know, I find that normal life, just going to work, paying bills, just doesn't suit me. And I think I'm sort of ticking along for about 3 years. And then something in the back of my brain is coming to the surface again. And it's like, you need to get out of this, you know, this rut or whatever is not healthy for you. And then I just go and do something big again. And but
the cycle repeats itself.
Yeah, and I'm in that 3 to 4 month window at the moment. And it's tough. So obviously with what's been going on with COVID is not really helped. And I've had to take on a full-time job. Just, you know, now I've got to ask for holiday and things like that. Whereas before I was, you know, a lot freer.
I suppose that they're in the military, that it's quite confined. You are told what to do and when to do it. So did it, when you did you leave that for those reasons, to go into the bike trip, or?
So right now in my life, I'm an army reservist now. So I was in the regular army, then I left, and now I'm a reservist. So basically, the army side of my life is now gone part-time as opposed to full-time. But since I was 18, like the army has been there, and I think it's been like my one sort of constant throughout all my life. It's been the military, and I think I need the army friends. I think I need that little bit of structure. I definitely need the friends because, you know, I'm a lot more open with how I speak about stuff. You know, you can get away with a lot more without being judged, shall we say. You know, if you go on social media and start sharing your opinions, you've got the whole world attacking you from all different angles, and it's not very nice at times.
Who's that?
Sorry, that's just my phone.
All right. You're a popular man.
It's work can wait.
Where were we? So the military, and I guess my interest would be, did the military prepare you well for an around the world trip, and what skills did you take from the military that you found useful for 15 months on the road?
I don't know, like you definitely don't need to, you know, be a trained soldier to go on a trip around the world or do something, you know, out there. Obviously there's loads of people that do that side of things, but I don't know, for me, I just felt more comfortable in you know, the military is very good at training you to look after yourself, you know, whether that's just normal day-to-day admin. Do you know what I mean? Like in the army, basic training, you will get into trouble if you don't shave properly, if you don't brush your teeth, you know. And I know it sounds really angry, but it just gets drummed into you from day one, and you just, I don't know, it's just little things like that, you know. I think it's like the mindset. It's like every day it's like, right, okay, I need to make sure, is my bike good to go? Am I good to go? You know, and you're just in that before you go to bed. Don't just go to bed. Make sure everything else is sorted first before you go to bed. And I don't know, but yeah, you definitely don't need to be a military person to go traveling.
I guess it was a long way round or down, wasn't it, who did the military training before they set off, and the hostage situation training, and maybe that put it in some people's mind that you had to be some sort of soldier of fortune
Yeah, possibly. But I found with things like that, I don't know, I was just over the top happy and smiley whenever I got stopped, you know, by the police, or, you know, you must have seen it. I just blast them with, you know, just random happy shit, and they don't know what to do, and they're just like, this gringo's crazy, just, yeah, move along, you know. It's just, yeah, that's all
about that trip then. You know, if you were trying to sell the idea of a trip, let's not necessarily say an 18-month trip, because, you know, we could say, if you're selling the idea of motorcycle travel in general, what would you say you got out of that period of your time on the road the most? What did you enjoy most?
I think, I don't know, I quite enjoy How can I explain this? It's a bit of a weird one. So I do quite enjoy spending time on my own. So like when I go off up into the mountains, you know, I'll go spend many days, you know, just hiking around the hills, being on my own, and it's really nice, you know. And I wanted to set off on this bike trip because I was at a bit of a down point in my life, and I knew that I needed to go sort something out, and I knew that I had to go on my own to sort my shit out, which did happen. But also at the same time, you know, some of my best memories of the trip was shared with other people, you know. So I
Would
don't
you,
know.
if somebody had said, "Can I come with you?" What would you have said?
No,
No,
no, 100% no.
because that's
No,
a big difference between
I had to do it on my own.
Yeah, I mean, Austin did it with what, five? Was it five people or something?
Yeah.
Yours was very much a solo adventure.
It was a solo adventure, but I knew that I wanted to meet people because I've traveled with other people, and I find that it's very easy to just sort of stick in your little group. Whereas when you're on your own, after an amount of time, like as much as I dislike staying in hostels, there was definitely times it was like, I'm going to go check into a hostel tonight just to go meet some people. Do you know what I mean? Like go meet some other travelers, have a night or two, you know, go to the bars and stuff like that, you know, meet some girls or whatever. And then after a couple of days, it's like, cool, I've got that out of my system, back on the road on my own again, you know, wild camping. And so, yeah, I liked making my own decisions.
Yeah.
Waking up in the morning, you know, if I didn't feel like it, I'm not going to ride my bike. If I didn't feel like riding, if I wasn't in that frame of mind, it's like, you know what, I'm just going to stay another day. I'm going to go walk around the town and go get a haircut or a nice coffee or something. It's like, I'll ride tomorrow. But sometimes if you're with a group, it's like you have to come up with group decisions. So somebody, you know, you're going to be making an exception somewhere.
And I guess, again, that equally applies to a trip closer to home, doesn't it? I was just thinking, you know, when you're talking about having time off the bike and a day off the bike, and it almost seems like a distant ambition for a lot of people, having that luxury of, you know, what should I do today? I'll do nothing. But I think I was just thinking, you know, even in 2 weeks, if you did if you had 2 weeks on a bike or even a week, you could still have those moments where you just said, you know what, I'm not going to ride today, or I'm not going to ride this afternoon.
Yeah, I think it very much. Yeah, I think less so if you've got like a 2-week trip. I mean, it all depends what you want. I feel like people want to cram stuff in. Whereas this one, I don't know, like when I first set off on the trip, like going through Europe, I was eating up the mileage, you know, I was just boom, 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 you know, because I felt like that's what I should be doing. It's like, I should be this is a motorbike trip. I should be riding my motorbike every 5 minutes, you know, and just, you know, it'd be cold, it'd be raining, I'd be tired and hungry, but I'd be like, no, this is part of the trip. And in reality, looking back, it's like, I wasn't enjoying it at all. That first part of the trip, I thought I made a huge mistake. You know, so I was like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, I'm not relaxed. I'm not anything. And it wasn't really until I got to Russia where I started to relax and get into that frame of mind of that actually it's okay to just wake up and go, nah, I'm going to go tomorrow. And it's quite a nice feeling. And then that sort of just applied, you know, for the rest of the trip. And then when I was in South America, I mean, that was great. I was super relaxed, especially Colombia and places like that. It's like, I don't want to leave. I just want to stay here, you know, for weeks on end and just enjoy all this.
What did you enjoy about that bit the most, South America? What was it about it?
What, just being relaxed?
South America, why did you enjoy that so much?
I don't know. I think it was just I love all the mountains. I did enjoy the mountains. I just enjoyed all the diversity that was there. You know, the food. I don't know. I was communicating a lot more with people. I started picking up, you know, little bits of Spanish here and there. But you know, and I was communicating with people, and I don't know. I just felt happy, and also I think I know this is a weird one, but I knew that the end was in sight. But it wasn't a mission. The mission wasn't to get to the end, but I don't know, it kind of was, but I knew that I'd almost completed it. And I just felt, oh, I'm almost at the end. Let's just enjoy all this last part now because it's going to be over soon. And yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, I've made a list of topics that I've done videos on, which I thought might be worth throwing your way. In case,
okay.
You know, so you've got because everyone does it differently, don't they?
Yeah.
So So it's not really in any order, but I'd just be interested in your opinions of it. So packing, what essential items did you find? Well, what did you find was essential on your trip?
So you got to think, like, if you're wild camping a lot, like I love wild camping. So if that's the case, if you want to be camping loads, you've got to make it comfortable. You need a decent sleeping pad. You need a decent tent that's going to keep you dry, and keep the wind out and stuff like that. Because if you scrimp and save, I'm not saying you should buy the most expensive stuff, but definitely get good quality stuff. Have a decent sleeping bag, because it's just going to make a huge difference. If you've got naff kit, you're going to have a shitty night's sleep, and you're just going to wake up in the morning and just not feel in the mood for doing anything. It's the same as at home. If you have a crappy night's sleep, you don't want to go to work the next day. And it's the same as on the bike trip. That whole day is all about enjoying whatever it is you come across. So yeah, definitely like a decent sleeping system.
So in the camping kit, we've got a tent, a sleeping bag.
Yeah, tent, sleeping bag, and a really good sleeping pad.
Yeah. Any recommendations on that?
Well, there's one that I use. It's made by a company called Cedar Summit, and I literally got it recently, and it's been fantastic. It's all insulated and inside, all reflects all your body heat. And I've had it out 4 times now, like in the past couple of weeks, and yeah, it's been superb.
What about cooking stuff?
Cooking stuff. So when I set off, I had a multi-fuel cooker. I don't know. Did you have one on yours, or I'm not too sure?
No, look, no. I do have a multi.
You're making fires.
I used to just. I don't use to buy a bag of crisps or something.
I was going to say, do you just?
I bought a stove in Ferguson after 8 months on road. That's when I finally thought I'll buy a stove. I never thought to set off with a stove. I just used to stop at a shack and then eat my lunch on the road and then camp. And then sweet.
This is what I was going to say. So I set off with a multi-fuel stove because I thought, I should hopefully always have petrol, and I could just siphon it out of the tank, and I've always got something to cook with. So that's what I used all through Russia and Mongolia, and it was great. That really was a good choice, because you just can't get gas, the little gas canisters and stuff. But then when I got to the US, I realized actually, like, you can eat for cheap out in the US.
Yeah.
And I can't cook this kind of food. It's just not going to happen. And also, I don't want to try cooking this sort of food. So why am I going to have a ball in the bag or, some super noodles when I can just stop at the fast food place, get a full meal, use the free Wi-Fi, and it's like, I'll do that. So I actually then got rid of that cooker, and I had a little gas stove, because now I'm in the US. I bought a gas canister, and I thought, that'll be me, just for making like an emergency cup of tea or something like that. But like you said, like all through the Americas, I didn't cook that much because the food was so cheap. And it's like going through Mexico. It's like I'd stop, eat food, and then drive off and go camp up for the night. Most of the time I'd end up sleeping at the restaurant, because it would be someone's house. And I'd be like, hey, look, if I buy a couple of beers, can I just put my tent up around the back? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Wow. They never had a problem. And yeah, I just found that I wasn't really cooking that much.
I think that's quite common, because I think there's nothing wrong with camping, but what's frustrating about camping is trying to cook yourself a nice meal.
Yeah.
Especially if you're wild camping and you don't want to make your presence that well known, then having a flame and all that, I guess, goes against it.
Yeah, you're not going to cook restaurant quality food, are you? I'm not going to be knocking up, some nice fish tacos or something, it's not going to happen. I mean, I know that people can, and there's probably people that will watch this and be like, I've cooked some amazing food. And it's like, yeah, so have I, around fires and stuff. It's like, I don't want to.
You just put your hands up, you want to go to bed and you don't. Yeah,
that's it. It's like, I just have a little bit of emergency food in case, you break down or something like that. So you're not going to die of starvation. But yeah, for me, it was just being able to boil up water to have a cup of tea.
Yeah. They say when we do the Lands of Growth, people say, do I need to bring a stove? And it's pretty much, well, yeah, only for tea in the morning. But
yeah,
you go to a pub in an evening and then sit there and have 2 pints.
I think on Ed's motorbike, I remember seeing he welded like a hot plate onto his exhaust, right? And I think he had like just like a metal mug or something, right? Like a canister that would sit on that. So as he was riding, the exhaust heat was heating up the water inside this. When I saw that, I was like, that's genius. That's great. So it's like you don't even have to get your cooker out when you get there. It's to say as soon as you stop, it's like I got warm water.
Oh,
Throw a tea bag in there, job done. So maybe
catalog next.
That's it.
Route planning. How did you choose which route you were taking through all these places? Were you GPS led? Were you map led? Were you
very much map led? I love my maps. I love just poring over a map and be like, oh, what's there? What's there? And I kind of started off with a world map, and I did a backpacking around the world trip about 11 years ago, and I went through sort of Thailand and India and Australia. So I came down that route on that. So I knew that I didn't really want to go down there. I know it'd be very much, different on a bike, but I really wanted to do the whole Russia and Mongolia thing. So so that's kind of why I decided to go that way. And then as soon as you start sort of, okay, that's the route I'd like, and then you start researching things, you can start, making it a bit more final. Like I started hearing about Vladivostok, and I was like, what's Vladivostok? It's like, oh, that's where I've got to ship my bike from, to get over to North America. And it's like, well, do I go to Alaska? Do I go to Canada? What time of year is it going to be? Is, Alaska, is it just going to be too cold? If it's going to be too cold, you're not going to enjoy it. So don't go. I wasn't fussed about doing all the way from the top to the bottom. I just wanted to just have a good trip, but with some sort of sense of direction. If I'd have just gone somewhere and been like every day, like, which way do I go? I wanted some sort of direction. So I knew when I got to like North America, it was like, okay, now you're just heading south. Just generally head south and see what happens. So that's what I did.
And did you set off like with a route map as such? When you were going through Russia and that, did you look on the map in advance and mark up all your routes that you'd take and the roads that you'd take, or were you just picking waypoints and then making it up as you went along?
Yeah, roughly. I knew like country to country where I was going, and then as I was getting to somewhere, I got a bit of Wi-Fi, I'd just start researching or going into forums or just posting on Facebook or whatever. It's like, hey, has anyone been to Latvia or Lithuania? Is like, anyone recommend anything? And then people just start talking, and they're like, oh, I went to this place, this was cool. Oh, you should camp here. And you're like, okay. And then I'll go on Google Maps and just put a pin on there, and then I just see naturally a route would start forming. And then you'd be like, okay.
Different trip then without social media and websites?
Okay, sorry?
Would it have been a different trip then without social media and websites and things?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes. I know social media does have its, its darker side of things. But also at the same time, so many people reached out, and helped me, gave me a bed to stay, especially when I got over to like Canada and the US. There was so much that happened because of social media, like we might have a mutual friend back home, and all of a sudden now I'm staying in this 5-star condo, in the Rocky Mountains for free because this family is, and hey, come along, and it's like that wouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. Or, I think I ended up staying with a friend of mine, Carla, in San Diego, because a guy that I work with, he's got a relative that's like a relative. Yeah, there's like a link to it. And she was like, yeah, you can come stay here for a couple of nights. And I think I ended up staying there for like 3.5 weeks, and she knew people. I went to like an American football game, and I went right down onto the pitch, like with the team and everything in this huge stadium. So much happened, which wouldn't have happened without the use of social media. It does.
For 3.5 weeks, or was she like, Aaron, it's time you left now, every day?
No, it wasn't Jay. It was like, no, I'm pretty sure this is my last Saturday. It's just like, then the next Saturday will come up like, you keep inviting me. You keep telling me let's go do this. And I was like, I can leave. And she said, no, you're staying. So it was all good. Yeah, no, it was a good time.
Route planning, done cooking, covering distances. Talked about that the other day. So your daily distance look to be? Did you have a sort of a top tier that you would not like to do more than, or did you just say?
So I think one of my biggest days was, so this is in kilometers. I'm not too sure what it is in miles, because obviously the rest of the world, apart from the US, tend to work in kilometers. I think it was about 650 kilometers was the biggest I did.
Miles, 420.
Yeah, that hurt. That wasn't enjoyable. That was going through Russia. There was just like a stretch. It was on that Trans-Siberian highway, and it was just this is like 4 days to get to where we wanted to get to. And it's like, let's just
go.
Yeah, put some playlists on or whatever, and there was no windscreen on my bike, or it's just 400cc. You're just like, oh god, you're getting off at the end of the day, and your back's hurting, your knees are hurting, everything's hurting.
What's your speed on that then? Cruising speed on?
I'm trying to think now. Pretty much everything broke. 80, 90 kilometers. What's that? 60 mile an hour?
Yeah.
Around that. Yeah. If I went any faster, it would go faster, but it was just, I don't know, that was kind of like the sweet spot. I was like, no, I'll just stick at this.
Was it a good choice then, that bike, DRZ?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to have like a perfect bike. Because there's definitely times like that. It's like, if you had, your BMW 1200, it's like, that would have been amazing. You could just sit there and just, But then, I was putting my bike on dugout canoes in Colombia, and lifting it up onto sailing boats and stuff like that. And it's like, I know that you can still do things, but it's that I was really happy with the fact that it was lightweight, and the fact that it's cheap. So, parts were cheap to get hold of. You're not too precious with it. It's like, I crashed a lot of times, because I just wanted to have fun, and it's like, well, if it breaks, I can fix it. I don't need a specialist dealer or something to do it. Bush mechanics can fix it. But yeah, overall, I think it was a good choice.
If you were doing it again, what would you go with?
I'd probably still go with that. But I've got my eye on. I haven't even test ridden it. I don't know if you have. The Tenerife 700.
I've only ridden it very briefly.
In my head, that motorbike, in my head, feels like it's like
the one.
Maybe the ideal bike. Like, I don't know. I need to go ride one, and that's the one that I've got my eye on, possibly buying this year. So I don't know. It might be dangerous if I go and test ride it. I'll be like,
happy with it. I think everyone who owns them seems very happy.
Yeah, I've heard really good stuff about it, and I think, because I was looking at the Tenerife, is it the 660, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I know a few people have used those. I don't know. And the 700 came out, and I was like, ooh.
I think for those distances, I think you just can't beat that. Like twin, nice and smooth, bit faster.
It's gone from a single to a twin now, isn't it?
So, and there was one in. I did pop into our local shop the other day, and he was selling a Tenerife 700, and I thought, wow, it's actually quite light. It didn't feel too heavy. It felt manageable, and I think that's probably why it's popular. It's got a good, nice, smooth engine, but it don't weigh a ton.
Yeah,
I know. I should have bought one of them instead of my Guzzi, but
just get another one.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, we'll see about that. So bloody Guzzi. Bike choice. Spares. What sort of spares and tools were you taking on that trip then?
So spares. Oh, what did I have in spares? I think I carried a set of sprockets, inner tubes. There really wasn't much at all.
Yeah. And what was your sort of level of ability? What could you do? You could replace a puncture, I'm assuming, a tire.
Yeah, so I could do punctures. I could. I had like spare chain links and stuff like that. So I could do chain stuff. Yeah, if I broke, sheared some teeth off a sprocket, I could change all that. I could do valve clearance checks as well. Keep an eye on that. If I wanted to, I could change the clutch. I did practice that, so I could get those out, but I didn't have any spare clutch plates, so I'd have ended up going to a mechanic anyway. So yeah, just things like that, just tinkering around like the electrics, because it was so simple. There's not many electrics on there, and I remember I fried something, and I remember just like getting a strip of wire and just like sort of bypassing it and thinking, oh, the bike's working, you know, and just bits like that. That was it. The alternator, the alternator. I carried a spare one of those. I think I got through about 3 or 4 of those on the trip.
Right.
I don't know what was causing. There must have been an issue with that, but yeah, I mean, they that just bolted on and just bolt a new one back on. That was really simple, and they're super lightweight to carry. So yeah, not much at all.
3 or 4 then. Did you have parts sent out to you as you travel?
So I had an issue in Moscow. It was the 5th gear in the gearbox had sheared. I don't know how it happened. So basically, I didn't have 5th gear, so I could get out to 4th, and then 5th just felt like it was in neutral, so just nothing was happening. And I rode all the way back to Moscow. I had a friend in Moscow, and I was like, okay, this is what the bike's doing. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what's happening. You need to come back to Moscow. You're not going to get that fixed. Anyway, I just ride back. I was like, oh, geez. And he was like, keep the speed low, because right now you've got bits of metal in your gearbox. So just keep the speed low. And I got back to Moscow where he was at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was just, you know, when you've had those super long days where your head, you're delirious, aren't you? You're just like, oh. And he was there, and he was drunk, obviously, on vodka. And he was there with a couple of friends. He was like, you need some vodka. And then I ended up just getting drunk. And then we woke up about 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was just like, what do you want? And he's like, I'm taking you to the mechanic. Come on. I was like, now? I wish you'd have told me. I wouldn't have drunk so much vodka. So yeah, that was a messy morning. But yeah, so I needed a part for that, but we couldn't get it in Russia. It didn't seem to be in Russia, but we got it. Somebody in Europe had it. And and he managed to send it through the system to Moscow, got it, gave it to the mechanic, and then he fixed it, and then I was on my way. But apart from that, everywhere else, in the Americas, you just get to any sizable city, you've got bike shops. You know, you can go to any of them, especially something like that. It's like, I need new tires for that wheel, you know, it's like, cool, there you go, pick. It's simple. So
a good bike choice, really.
Yeah.
And really, you don't need to take a lot of spares, and you don't need a lot of mechanical knowledge. Is kind of what you.
No, I think everybody should learn how to fix a puncture.
Yeah.
I think if you're leaving on a trip and you can't do a puncture, then, you know, learn.
Off without tire levers on a bike trip across the world.
This is it, you know, and it's like, I don't know, they're just simple things. There are simple things that you can learn. You don't have to be a mechanic to learn some basic stuff. Know where the fuse boxes are, know where the basic wiring and stuff. You know, if your headlight stops working, you know, have a mental sort of picture of where things are running on your bike. You know, it's just, yeah, you can do bits to help you.
What about clothing? People worry about taking everything they think they need. Is that a reality, or is it a case of just buying as you go along? Did you find?
Yeah, I replace some stuff. I'm quite fortunate because I do a lot of hiking and stuff. I understand, you know, like the whole layering system, and, you know, if you get that correctly, then, you know, that can make a huge difference. But for me, I get like really bad circulation to my feet, so my feet get cold. So, you know, if you know you get cold feet, then just buy thicker socks. It's just stuff like that. You know, if you're going through, if you do want to go to Alaska when it's winter time, then, you know, you're gonna have to stock up on some stuff. Or, you know, if it's over 40-degree heat, like it was when I went into Honduras, then, you know, you don't need Arctic socks.
So when you set off, say your kit when you set off day one, how does it differ on day 600 or whatever when you finished? Had it completely changed, or did you set off with it about right?
Yeah, I set off about right. What did I change? I had so my motorcycle jacket, I kept that throughout my whole trip. So obviously that had, you know, the armor and the back protector. So I always wore that, and then just changed whatever was underneath. The trousers changed. I did have like the trousers matched the jacket, and it would all zip together and stuff. But I changed those pretty quickly because it was just too much. And I changed for like, they were kind of like a combat style trouser, but Kevlar. They're almost like Kevlar jeans, really. But they had the pockets on the side, so I could put something in a first aid kit or whatever, just bits of maps, tourist maps and stuff. So I could do that, and they were just so much more comfortable. Obviously, they're not waterproof, but then I had some waterproof over trousers. So it's even like the jacket. The jacket doesn't need to be, the most expensive or whatever. So if it's going to rain, you can just put a lightweight waterproofs over the top of everything and then take it off. And then actually it makes it more breathable. But the boots, they held up just. When I arrived home, I had gaffer tape wrapped all around them. Everything was starting to fall apart by the time I got home.
What boots did you take?
I think it was the W2 Adventure Dirt. So I went for those. Absolutely loved them. I think I've had 2 pairs. And because I just enjoyed getting off the bike during the day and being able to walk around. So I wanted a comfortable pair of boots. So I didn't want to go for like, your big, bulky sort of city adventure boots, because they're like 3 times as much. And you can't walk properly. No. Like they just, you undo all the buckles to try and make it a little bit easier. It's not quite like walking in a ski boot, but it's that sort of feeling. I know they offer more protection, but I was happy to sacrifice a bit of protection for comfort of walking around a town all day in motorcycle boots. I climbed up a mountain in Ecuador in those motorcycle boots, and it wasn't actually a problem. It all just depends what you want. If you want extra protection, then go for something thicker.
I guess, like you say, it's a bit of a compromise, though, isn't it? You can't have everything, and if you can't have ultimate protection plus ultimate comfort, it's kind of slightly one or the other, or somewhere down the middle. And a full face helmet, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and a full face helmet. In fact, I've got it up on the shelf. I think it's the Arai X5.
Oh,
this.
Nice.
Yeah, I had this.
It's really good nick, isn't it? That. So that's.
It's got.
Oh, actually, I've seen it. Yeah,
it's got a load of. Yeah, it's a bit smashed up, but I really like that. That's good. It's quite heavy, but it's super. I never got cold in it. There's loads of ventilation and stuff. Yeah, really good helmet. But I use something different now.
Check you out with your fancy gear.
Yeah, I got this.
Helmet.
Got this for free as well.
How did you do that?
Yeah, well, the company that I work for, they have a sponsor from Climb. So, or Climb. I never know how to pronounce it, but so I use that now. That's really nice. That's really lightweight.
And everything, have you now? The matching trousers and jacket. Have you got the full Stormtrooper?
Not the big jacket, but I've got like the lightweight stuff, more for sort of dirt riding, because out in Nepal, there's lots of sand and river crossings and stuff like that. So it's nice.
Actually, well, I've not got anything majorly exciting left. Oh, budget. Actually, I was just going to ask you about budget. What people say how much to do a big trip like that? What did you set off with, and what did you think you need, and how did the two things differ?
So I didn't really know how much I was exactly going to need. I kind of worked out speaking to people because I knew I had like 2 ocean crossings. So from Eastern Russia to Canada, I knew that was a big chunk of money. And then from South America, so from Argentina back to Europe, I knew was a big expense. The good thing is with my trip, because I didn't do Africa, I didn't need a carnet. So all those countries didn't require a carnet. So that was a cost that I didn't have to pay for. And obviously you got your insurance, which adds up. But I think overall, it was about 22,000, 23 max. But that's all in. So that was the bike, that was everything, visas, the lot. But yeah, I actually came back with, I think I had about £3,000 still in my bank. I nearly didn't come home. I nearly was going to go up into Scandinavia, but I was pretty tired. And I told people that I was coming home on this day, and I had people waiting for me. So I figured I should probably go home.
Are you glad? Are you sad you didn't carry on riding, or were you glad when that trip ended?
Yeah, nothing against the trip, but I was ready for it to finish. You know, it was, I don't know. I think looking back, maybe done a little bit more. I don't know. Like I was happy to come home. Like when I got home, I was like, yeah, this is a good time. So
And
yeah.
how long before you wanted to go off again?
Well, I was at home for, it was like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I was on a plane and went out to Brazil
One.
for a month to go meet Natalia. I had to make a decision. It was like, so obviously I met her in Argentina and we got along really well for a few weeks. And then, you know, I got back and it's like, I've got to make a decision. If I don't go, then nothing's going to happen. If I do go, then maybe something will happen. So yeah, I haven't made it easy trying to date a Brazilian woman. Especially at the moment with COVID.
No, that can't be easy. I think that was a really good line, though, that Aaron, that you use it, which you could apply to motorcycle. You know, I guess in the context of motorcycle travel, where you just said, you know, you've got a choice: you either make it happen or you don't make it happen.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's essentially it, isn't it? That's what it boils down to. A difficult decision that was. If you wanted it to make it happen, you've got to make the difficult decisions. And
Yeah, sure.
that's what people sometimes maybe overlook or forget when they look on into people's trips or things. That to make it happen, you have to make difficult decisions.
And if you're not prepared or you can't deal with making difficult decisions, then you shouldn't go on a big elaborate trip, because ultimately you're going to have to make big decisions, especially if you're going on your own. You know, it's only you've got to make the decision. How are you going to get from Panama to Colombia? You know, you've got to come up with a decision. You've got to make, you know, you're going to fly it, you're going to ship it, or whatever. You've got to make these decisions. If it does break down, you know, it's what you're going to do. But you'll get it sorted because you have to.
Yeah. But there are a lot of decisions, actually. When you get to the nub of what motorcycle travel is, or any kind of travel, it's decisions, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all decisions, but I mean they're fun decisions. You know, it's like, do I stay another day? Do I head to the coast where it's warmer, or do I head to the mountains where it's cooler because it's too bloody hot here? You know, it's
where you'll make a decision and then you'll ride away in direction of the decision made, and then you'll get about 10 miles down the road, you'll change your mind.
Yeah.
Back again, but then on the way back again, you'll change your mind again.
Yeah.
I remember doing that Krabi in Thailand. I think I rode past the same mango seller like 5 times, you know, until I finally went, just make a decision and stick to it.
The amount of times I'd stay another day because I couldn't decide where to go, you know, and it's like, maybe I just don't think about it. Go treat yourself to a nice lunch or something and just chill out. Maybe the answer will naturally come towards you. And then you sit there in the evening having a beer and you're like, I still haven't got a clue what I'm doing tomorrow morning. You know, and it's the same as like when I left Colombia. I got to the border with Ecuador and I was like, I could just turn around and just have another 3 more months in Colombia, because I really, really enjoyed my time in Colombia. I was like, I could just, there's stuff that I haven't seen. Maybe I could go up that way, or go into the jungle more, or go to the coast more, or go see that. And it's like, no, just go to Ecuador and do that. And then I was riding around, I was like, have I made the right decision? And you're constantly battling against yourself all the time.
I think that's why sometimes it's good to have that destination and almost time frame, isn't it? Because then it's why a lot of those people who sort of go around the world for years and years on end, I just think, I don't know how you make the decisions to know where to go, or maybe I guess they don't care where they go, because there is no right or wrong decision. It's just, if you've got a amount of time on the road, then you can take any decision you want.
Yeah, and if you haven't got, you know, if you haven't got financial issues, so say, I don't know, you've got something set up at home, you know, you're renting out a property and the money you're getting every month, you know, pays for you, you know, all your monthly expenses in, you know, a cheaper country, then it's very difficult to say, well, why do I need to rush? I'm just living here. Whereas like myself, you know, I didn't earn any money. I wasn't being given any money. It was like, so this is my pot. That's all I've got. You know, so when that comes to an end,
you can't.
And then try and phone up my bank back home and ask for some money when they've seen that I haven't worked for over a year, or I use the credit card and hopefully I can pay it off later. I
Oh, the joys of self-finance long-distance motorcycles.
I know, right? I'll do it all again, though. I'd love to. I am missing those days.
Yeah, and you touched on it briefly before, but you work with one of the tour companies now in India.
Yeah.
Nomadic, is it Nomadic Nights? No.
No. It's out in Nepal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a company called Explore 360.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
These guys, there you go. Look.
They've got the Klim sponsorship, I believe.
Yeah, they get a bit of kit and stuff like that at like a cheaper rate, I think. But yeah, so I've done 3 tours with them out in Nepal. I've also been up to South Wales as well, up at the BMW school up there.
Yeah.
Really good, where Simon Pavey runs it. Yeah, really good. And obviously COVID has stopped a lot of fun.
Yeah. How is guiding a trip and leading a group different to being solo? Do you still get the same enjoyment out of it, or is it a different experience?
Yeah, it's a different experience. Definitely get enjoyment out of it, because I'm not saying like you're in charge, but you are kind of. But it's also, you're more of, yes, you're a guide, and like these guys haven't done that route or whatever. But I find that you're kind of the person that's in charge of, you're making sure that, you're making sure that they get entertained. Yeah. They've paid good money. They want to have 2 weeks of amazing riding. They want to drink beer. They want to see some culture. They want to see cool stuff, and do cool stuff, and if at the end of the day, because you've introduced all this cool stuff, then that's all they care about, and it's just, you can talk about stuff. You go to all the temples. The good thing is about Nepal is that it doesn't matter where you look. It's just cool shit everywhere. It's really good. And, it's I'll be up in the front or whatever, taking some people. And then, if there's somebody that's confident or whatever, I'll be like, yeah, go on, see that temple up there. I'll meet you up there. So now they're having a little bit of fun. You give them that little bit of rope to go and have some fun. But yeah, it's good fun. I really enjoy it. I think it's sort of maybe the army background. So I'm sergeant in the army. So I have like, the guys in my troop, and I sort of, I don't know, it's that little command position.
Oh, camaraderie as well, I suspect.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think I mean, I haven't had any problems. So everyone seems to enjoy themselves. It's quite daunting though sometimes, because I'm not saying that I'm young, but generally I'm younger than the people that come out. I'm 37. So you get some people, from all over Europe. You get some really good bike riders, and, you're the guide. And I think some people just think that, you're some sort of Dakar rally rider. And it's like, no, I'm not. I mean, I'm not shit, but, I'm definitely not the world's best. That's not what makes a good guide. I feel it's not just on their level of skill. Of course, you got to be skillful enough to take them through that route, because if I crash and hurt myself, then that's a lot of problem for the rest of the tour.
The worst guys probably are those that just take off trying to prove how fast they are.
Yeah, and that's not it.
A bad guy.
Yeah, you're not there to prove how good you are. You're there for them to have a really good time. That's what they're paying the money for. They just want to have an amazing 2-week trip.
Any suggestions for anyone wanting to get into that sort of line of work? You need to be around the world motorcyclist, do you think, or what?
No, I don't think so. I think I don't know. I mean, like the guy that runs the company, he reached out to me. I think he was following my motorbike trip, and because I put stuff up on there, I think it's people knew my personality, and I think he's comes from a military background as well, so I think he could relate to the military side of things. I think when he brought me on, he built up this mental picture of what I was probably like. And then when we did that first tour together, I think it was like, oh, phew, you are what I thought you was going to be. I try not to be someone else on social media. I try to be honest, and I think social media is...
that he dug you out. Look, he followed you and then made that call to you. I think that's a really big compliment, because it's, I can only, from my own position, the thought of employing someone else and knowing or feeling that you could trust someone is it's a very difficult thing to do,
Yeah.
because you're essentially trusting people with your guests. So he obviously saw something in you that made him reach out to you, and he's obviously, the fact you've done 3 means that he likes what you're doing.
Yeah, and it was by far the best job interview I've ever had. It was a 2-week trip in Nepal.
Oh, that's not.
You know, all expenses paid. It didn't cost me anything.
Was there riders there going for the same job then, or were you
Say again?
Was there other riders there going for the same job?
No. So the idea was that he was running a tour, and then it was like, you come along and we'll work together. And then basically as the days go on, I'll give you more and more responsibility and just see how you are with the clients and stuff like that, you know, the guys, and your skill and capability. And then by the end of it, you know, if I'm happy, then you run the next ones on your own. Wow. You know, without me here. And yeah, and we got to the end. I mean, I think after about day 3 or 4, I was like, okay, we're gelling well. So that was cool.
That's really good, isn't it? It's I guess as you're talking, I'm just thinking, like, you know, where these things lead to. You would never have thought when you set out on the motorbike that first day on DRZ400 heading around the world, you'd never think, what, 4 years later, I guess? 4 years later?
Yeah, nearly 4 years now since I've been back.
But, you know, you'd never think that that's a place it'd lead you to, isn't it? I get the impression a lot of people are scared of, and I was the same, actually. I guess my trip was maybe 3 or 4 years in the not in the planning, but in the thought process, because I kept talking myself out of it, really, or talking myself out of doing something like that. And I guess that's listening to other people. People come, you know, you see at bike shows. I think that's the same for them. They've talked themselves out of it because they're fearful of where it might lead to, predicting it to be a bad thing. But I think there's a lot of stories out there that show that if you just go, well, I'll take a chance on it and I'll set off, it generally leads to, you know, a positive upward curve, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
I've always wondered about
you know, you've got to a place where you've enjoyed your bike trip, you've learnt a lot of skills, and then you're making a living by taking others.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered if maybe I wanted to try and, I don't know, do something on my own maybe in the future. I don't know. I do like guiding work, but also I really enjoy like the mountaineering side of things and the teaching of that. Like, that's a big passion of mine. So I don't know whether I just want to stick to bikes, or do you know what I mean? I never wanted to just be a bike guy, you know. I think I'd like to go off into other avenues as well, which I think is not a problem. You know, if those skills can definitely, you know, cross over into other
yeah,
years.
Sure. Well, I think that's something Austin Vince always says, isn't it? You know, you're not wasting, if you go off around the world for a year, it's not like you're not gaining skills. You actually gain a lot of useful skills that are transferable for workplace.
Yep.
Yeah. So, because I think people see it as a year where you're going to lose your place on the career ladder. Whereas actually, I guess it could take you upwards, just in a different direction, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends what you're trying to get out of life, I guess. Yeah.
End of lockdown would be nice.
Yeah. That would be great. So we can start having fun again.
And so plans for you this year, hoping to get back to Brazil, long distance relationship and all that.
Hoping to make that a lot more of a shorter distance. We're hoping that we end up living together here in England. So yeah, we've definitely got some work to do for that. And probably a lot of money to spend on visas and paperwork, but we shall see.
Tell us quickly about your ring business. That's right.
Oh, yeah. You want me to talk about my ring?
Your ring business.
Yeah, that came about lockdown 1, that was. And I don't know, it was something, you know, when, you know, you're spending hours on YouTube and you're losing yourself. And I found I kept watching these videos of people creating things, and basically they were making rings out of like old coins. And I've got boxes, you know, full of old coins that I've collected from my travels. I always like collecting coins. And I see that, I thought that'd be cool if I could turn that collection into something a bit more. So I invested in the tools, and I spent quite a bit of money, considering, you know, jobs and everything was all over the place. And I thought, no, I'm going to take a punt. If it doesn't work out, I reckon I can make the majority of the money back by selling the tools again on eBay. So I took a punt, started making them, really enjoyed it. And then, I started, pushed out to social media and people were like, oh, I want one. And then I set up an Etsy store and now, I have a part-time business doing that. I do that in Eden's.
One there to show.
I've got one. This is not the best one I've done, but it is the first one I did. It's a silver. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Well, I can see it.
So that's silver. That's that's from 1922. That's a silver florin, and I keep all the details and everything, so you can see all the outside of the coin. And I just make rings for people. I've had people message me with custom orders for wedding bands, and it's great.
Yeah, what a nice business to.
But that's what all that is. That's my little workbench there. So there's only one tool that needs electricity, and that's the Dremel, just for polishing. Everything else is all mechanical tools. And
are they made to measure, or do you send?
Yeah. You can go onto the Etsy store. You can see which ring you want, which style, whichever coin. I've got coins on there from all over the world, or you can send a custom order, and you can select the size you want, and then I'll make it and it goes in the post and off out to you.
Right. How can we find you? What's the name on Etsy?
So it's called Britannia Designs.
Britannia Designs.
By the Union Jack. Yeah. Everything's British.
An American and want a nickel turning into a ring, could you?
Yeah, so I've done quite a few US coins. So the quarters are really popular, the state quarters. So people that maybe have gone on a holiday or something like that. So I have people that try to get them to send me some coins. I've got some silver $half and stuff, which I'm sort of practicing on at the moment to get into the shop. But yeah, I'm liking the silver. The silver pieces are good.
And what price are we talking about for roughly?
I mean, they're not much. It range, I think, like the cheapest is about £20, and that's free delivery. And then it will go up to maybe £45. So yeah, it's nothing crazy. They're just nice bits. People tend to get them if they've been on a holiday and they just want something, a little.
Bits with the story, though, aren't they? I think that's what's nice about it. Certainly, if you've sent that coin off, I think that adds a lot of value to that item.
Yep.
Personal item.
Yeah, it's good fun, and it's just something different. I like being creative, so it's just nice doing that. And then when I get a review, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy! This is amazing!" And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Maybe I should put the prices up."
My fans. No, I think it's great, mate. It's great that I guess everyone takes a while to find the feet, don't they, after being away for so long?
Yeah, but I think when you've got to open these doors. I know when people say, "Oh, but a door will open soon," and it's like, yeah, but you really got to go and open them. It's when people say, "Oh, good things come to those who wait," and it's like, it's a nice
old in the nursing home.
Yeah, it's a nice saying, but if you want something, you got to go for it. If you want to ride a bike around the world or set up a new business or whatever, you just got to go for it. If it goes to shit, then sell the tools, make the money back or whatever. It's just, you go on a bike trip and you find halfway into it, you're like, I don't like this, or I've had enough. You can just come home. It's not a problem. Just do whatever, Yeah.
Oh, that's a good way to end. Well, I think if anybody needs advice on round the world motorcycle travels, meeting beautiful girlfriends and getting a dream job, I think they need to come and see you, don't they?
Well, I mean, it's been a success story so far with Natalia. Yeah. I'm just glad that I met her at the end. Might be different if I met her first.
You don't think you'd have left?
I don't know. I mean, it has crossed my mind that, when people say, "Oh, would you move to Brazil?" I was like, I mean, it's not a no, but I don't know what I'd do for a job. I'd have to set up a tour company or something for Westerners to come down to Brazil and ride bikes.
You like England enough to move?
I mean, I do like England. I know that we've got our issues, but
there's Natalia.
Yeah, she likes it. Yeah, she wants to. She really wants to come live here. So maybe it's an option in the future. We set up something in Brazil and maybe bounce between the two places. I don't know. But yeah, she really wants to come here. She loves it here. She can speak the language, really well. She's already made some friends and stuff. I think I think she'll suffer in the winter. Yeah, she's definitely.
We all suffer in winter.
I don't think she'll like the hibernating in winter and the long, cold, dark days. But yeah, no, she'll get through it. We'll just send her back to Brazil in the winter.
Can we all go with her?
Yeah, I'll go with you. I'm coming with you.
Book a full flight. I'm sure we'll fill it, won't we?
Yeah, we'll go over there and we'll get some motorbikes and just enjoy the English winter in Brazil. It'd be great.
So, if anybody likes that idea, put it in the comments and we'll start an enclave over in there.
That's it. If anyone wants me to set up some winter motorbike tours in Brazil, then let me know. I might actually look into it.
Well, hey, once we're over COVID, everyone's going to be desperate to go everywhere, I think.
Yeah. That was a good chat, mate.
Yeah, no, cheers for that. That was hopefully people took some information from that, which I'm sure they did. If anybody's got any questions for Aaron, just chuck them in the comments, or wants to order a ring, but go to Britannia Engineering.
Britannia Designs.
Britannia Designs on Etsy.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Lovely to catch up with you. Glad to hear you well, and we shall see you soon.
Yes, mate. Take care of yourself, won't you?
Take care of yourself, mate. Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.